I'm Vincent Price. What unearthly horror did that girl gaze upon?
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to 7th Street.
Make a good headline. Playboy kills wife with champagne cork.
Whew! Oh my god, it has been a long time since I've been here. But I've been pretty fucking busy. Running around to Crypticon Seattle, screening Kathy's Closet, also getting ready for a screening at the Portland Horror Film Festival, trying to edit a feature film, also working on a musical of all things. So, I've been pretty busy. YouTube has been on the back burner. But I'm back, baby!
I'm ready for justice to decide if I'm innocent or guilty.
My favorite actor of all time really is the late, great Vincent Price. Although I have highlighted a few of his films on this channel, I feel as though I haven't really shown him the proper respect. Well, today that's all about to change as we take a look at 7th Street Productions' Top 5 Vincent Price films.
How many more of these will I have to make before they're all destroyed?
Starting off at the top of my list is actually a movie that I've already covered before.
Last Man on Earth is the first of 3 adaptations of the Richard Matheson 1964 novel, I Am Legend. It is by far and away the best of these adaptations. The Will Smith version is decently acted and exciting enough, I suppose, but the CGI is some of the worst that I've ever seen, and it's totally unnecessary. I will never understand why they didn't just use practical makeup effects. The Charlton Heston version, the Omega Man, is total dog shit. Yeah, I said it, it's awful. I don't care for it at all, which is funny, because apparently Charlton Heston viewed Last Man on Earth before filming the Omega Man, and he said, quote, "Last Man on Earth is incredibly botched, totally unfrightening, ill-acted, sloppily written, and photographed."
Ain't this the same guy that starred in Solar Crisis?
They want my blood. Their lives are mine. I still get squeamish.
Last Man on Earth is not flawless, but it is an incredibly entertaining horror flick, with a prime Vincent Price carrying the bulk of the scenes on his shoulders.
An empty, dead, silent world.
Number 4 on my list just might shock you.
Yeah, that was one of the worst puns I've ever dished out, but this 1940s thriller is truly one of Vincent Price's most underrated roles.
She slipped and fell and fractured her skull against the rocks. Now they may discover it wasn't the fall that killed her.
They can't prove anything.
No. Once they start asking questions, that's why I went to the city. I had to make sure that I hadn't overlooked anything in the apartment.
The movie is about a newlywed woman named Janet Stewart who suffers a psychological breakdown that leaves her mute after witnessing her neighbor, Dr. Richard Cross, played by Vincent Price, brutally murder his wife. After realizing that the reason for the woman's psychotic break was due to the shock of witnessing the murder he committed, Dr. Cross attempts to lock the poor woman away in an insane asylum for the rest of her life.
I wonder, did Hitchcock ever see this movie?
See, you can remember. But what did you see from the balcony?
Yeah, I was mostly joking when I suggested that Hitchcock ripped off this movie, but you gotta admit, there are a lot of Hitchcockian themes going on here. This movie was actually adapted into a Tales from the Crypt episode entitled Mute Witness to Murder. In my opinion, Vincent Price is really at his best when he's playing an over-the-top villain. Not only is he playing a maniacal murderer attempting to cover up his tracks, but the concept here is genuinely frightening, and it feels like something that might actually have happened.
And at number 3 is a movie that probably makes most people's number 1.
The Fly. What else can I say about The Fly that hasn't already been said 100,000 times? It's a classic. It's arguably the best science fiction film from the 1950s. The movie is about a scientist who, while perfecting matter transference in his teleportation device, unfortunately crosses some of his genes with that of a common housefly. The movie doesn't play out like your typical monster flick. It actually plays out more like a murder mystery, leaving the reveal of the grotesque monster until the final moments.
And it works beautifully.
On the surface here, Vincent Price seems to be playing sort of a second Banana character, playing the brother of the scientist-turned-monster. But the story is really told through his eyes. The wife of the deceased scientist refuses to tell the police the reasoning for why she killed her husband, and it's only through investigation that Vincent Price figures out the awful truth.
You must see it with your own eyes to believe it. When the fly comes your way.
And just barely grabbing the number 2 spot is sort of the crowning jewel of Vincent Price's entire filmography.
The Tingler. Don't you just love that title? The Tingler. Ooh, the Tingler. With a title like that, you know that you're in for some good old-fashioned spooky fun. Vincent Price plays an obsessed pathologist who discovers that tingly feeling one gets in their spine during the moment of fear is actually a parasitic centipede-like thing that can only be killed by screaming. This is probably one of the better-known films by William Castle, a director, producer, and showman. Castle always introduced gimmicks into his film, and in the case of The Tingler, he actually had buzzers installed into the theater seats, which would zap the audience during the scary moments.
You will feel some of the physical reactions, the shocking sensations experienced by the actors on the screen.
This movie is just hokey fun in its purest form. Nothing about it should be taken seriously. It's just a spook show movie that's incredibly entertaining, and Vincent Price is at the top of his game. There's also this really infamous scene in which Vincent Price trips out on LSD by shooting it into his own veins. Now, I won't go into too much detail about my past, but as someone that has, experimented, I can assure you that injecting pure LSD into your veins is a horrible idea.
Scream. Scream.
Alright, number 1. I'm sure you've all guessed it. You know your boy loves William Castle films.
House on Haunted Hill is not only my favorite Vincent Price film, but it's the first one that I ever saw. I'll never forget that night. It was the middle of summer vacation and I was 11 years old. For some reason, I had been on this staying up all night kick during that summer. Everyone would go to bed and I would stay up all night long in the living room playing the Sci-Fi Channel. This was back in the days when, at around midnight, Sci-Fi Channel would play, well, actual movies. And the last movie that they played that night before the 5 a.m. paid programming would start was House on Haunted Hill. It's another William Castle film about an eccentric millionaire who offers $100,000 to anyone who can spend the night in the House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price turns out one of his best performances, in my opinion. The best scene by far is with Vincent Price and Carol Omar talking, rather frankly, about all the times that they've tried to kill each other.
You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Something you ate, the doctor said.
Yes, arsenic on the rocks.
Well, there it is, guys. 7th Street Productions Top 5 Vincent Price Films. Let me know what your favorite Vincent Price films are in the comment section below. You know, they say that generosity, it leads to a happier and healthier life. So why don't you go ahead and subscribe to this channel, find us on Facebook, also go and support some of our other films, Three Flies in a Widow's Web, and If These Walls Could Talk. You can find them through the Kings of Horror, and you can actually watch them for free here on YouTube or on their website. Make sure that you subscribe to them as well. I know that they'll appreciate it. Let them know that we sent you. Until next time, guys.
I'm not such a fool as to hang my wife from a ceiling by a rope.